All right, guys, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. I guess there was too many people that joined and boom, something crashed. So I had to clear up some things. But now we're on live. We're going to make sure nothing else happens because this is important and this information needs to get out. Thanks for keeping it here. We have people loading up. Again, sorry about that. We're doing episode number 61. This is an important episode because we got a advocate for our children on here, for the students. We have Luis Aranda that's going to be joining us in a second. He's about to pop up. We're waiting a little bit longer, a couple of seconds here. Let more people joining on. Let me know in the comments, guys. As always, everything sound good on your end. That way we can go ahead and get started with this podcast. I don't know what happened. I think there was too many people joining on too quickly, or I don't know, but something went on. But we're back as always. And after this podcast, we're immediately going to have number 62, a cooked edition, where we talk about the recent developments in the people that are joining in, the political race that are coming in for the county that's going to be developing soon. So we got Mr. Aranda here joining us already. So we're not going to waste any more time. Mr. Aranda, how are you doing today?
Good, good. Thank you, Isaac, for having me on here as a father to start, and everything else is second.
No, absolutely. We've been seeing you come up in certain meetings with we saw you with the school district. We've seen you pop up in the county, in the city, and your message has stayed the same and consistent. Uh, w- uh, you're a parent like I am, so we are concerned about the situation that is happening within our schools. Uh,
Absolutely.
More than anything, the Armando Cerna incident that recently happened about a month ago, month and a half or so,
Yeah,
and we've been kind of as parents left out in the dark on this, and we don't. I know you've been doing a lot of efforts. We've submitted several public information requests as well, trying to get to the bottom of the situation, not for anything else, but to improve the protocols, improve everything that's going on. And the key is the safety of our students here.
absolutely. It started because of my daughters, obviously, at the school, but it's become bigger than that. Now that you see a broken system, now you see how it can affect any school and any district for that matter. And through those things that you mentioned, the PIAs that we've been asking for, some documents came up, some committees and things that we reviewed. And one of those things is something that I think people should see. It's very important for your audience to understand what happened that day, not just for parents, but for teachers as well.
No, absolutely. I know you shared a message with us with that document you sent over, and we want to go ahead and share it with everybody here so they understand that, people do care about the situation. It's not
Absolutely.
just a closed a group of people, but people want to know and people deserve to know, especially when they send their kids out to school. So we're going to go ahead and share this with you and well, for our audience, and if you can kind of guide us through and okay, there you go.
This is a message from a teacher going to administration. This message came to light through a Public Information Act request. Let me read it to you. Good
Yeah, go
morning.
ahead.
I put in an absence for the day. I could not sleep last night, and not hearing from you on the incident makes me feel less safe. Some parents reached out that they will not be sending the students today. I am afraid to go. I have a bad feeling, I don't know why. I didn't take it as serious, but when a second note was found and still nothing or reassurance that extra security was going to be there, I just don't know. Lesson plans will be online. I will post a lot of work. This is coming from a teacher to administration, a teacher from Armando Cerna that was not even acknowledged. It had a thumbs up. If you go up, they can see how that was the reaction to the message. I asked for communication between teachers and administration, and that's the message that was produced. One message, no reply. Can you imagine being a teacher and knowing that there's a threat, reaching out to administration and getting a thumbs up as a reply? And still, even in that moment, when you're saying, hey, I don't feel safe, I'm not going to go, still caring about the kids, still saying, hey, I'm going to leave work for them, but I can't show up because of my safety. That's what that one teacher went through. Can you imagine all the other teachers, how they felt? All the teachers that couldn't speak up or that haven't spoken up.
No, and and you can see from just reading that message where the thoughts or where the mind of this teacher was, because it takes a lot to spook somebody, right? Especially teachers that may have seen these things or whatever. So she must have felt really threatened or afraid for her own life not to show up that day.
And that's
Now,
that's exactly how she's wording it. She was basically asking the administration for help, for extra security, and there was no reassurance to staff. There was no reassurance that anything was going to be done, and there's no reply to that message. There's a thumbs up.
and reading this as an administrator, and I'm assuming this is to the principal
This was
of the
sent to
school.
administration at Cerna.
Okay, administration at Cerna. So that's a small group of people. Now they have a thumbs up. Now, to me, whenever somebody gives a thumbs up in any message, I kind of always feel that, like, they're like, okay, whatever, like that one,
They're acknowledging the message, but
yeah,
something like this deserves more than a thumbs up.
no, absolutely. So, what you received this message as a part of a Public Information Act request that you submitted, correct?
I got this straight from the district. This is something that was produced through a PIA.
Now, is this all the messages? Did you request every single thing that was communicated? Is this the only thing that they provided? Could there be other messages that maybe they're not sharing, or any other communication that was not through an official channel? Is that a possibility?
Whenever I made this PIA, I tried to be as specific as I could. I narrowed it down to safety and to absences because any parent can do this. Any parent can ask for information from the district. They're a public entity, and if it's not something that's private, they have to produce it. I asked for any communication from teachers to administration that related to safety and to that specific absence. And I clarified if there was any more communication, and that's what was produced.
Now,
Now,
I'm sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No teacher should feel this way. Not here, not in any district. Now, there's many teachers that have put themselves between danger and children. And less than an hour ago, we had two teachers that gave their lives for children. And they should not be treated this way. Now, this is not about one specific person. This is not about that administrator. This is about that system that made that administrator feel comfortable enough to handle the situation that way. Why was that administrator comfortable enough to give that teacher a thumbs up on something that important?
No, absolutely. I mean, what I was gonna say is that looking into this text, right? So she's acknowledging, or she's communicating that she has a bad feeling, right? And anybody that has seen these notices, obviously they haven't released them, right? These notes.
No,
Now,
this
from
is
what,
not something that was put out there.
yeah. So I mean, I'm saying that from what we've heard from announcements that have been put out, there was a list. There was a list as far as it had names, it had people listed
It
as
was
a kill list, I
we'll
think.
call it what it is. It was a kill list. That's what it
Oh
was.
man. Now, what is worse, I think, in this note is telling you that she sent something else. I didn't take it as serious, but when a second note came out, so she's saying that she still had no backup, no reassurance that there was going to be any extra security. In other words, there was no response to her feeling less than secure being there at that school. Now, to
Yeah.
me, that seems that that's a failure, not just on administration, but the school as a school district as a whole, because there's nobody that should feel unsafe going to school.
Yeah, this is this situation, and what as parents what we're going through, it's not about one person. It's about a system. It's about a system that allowed this to happen, because we had to basically put together a story because of how many gaps we had from the district. We had to stitch together, and that led to assumptions that caused the panic. That's why we're here today. If this situation would have been handled the way it had to be handled, we would not be here. But it's not something that we can just let go. We can't just get over this.
Now, I know that this message is pretty bad, right? So this is coming at the back end of what happened, unfortunately in Uvalde, Texas, at Robb Elementary.
Yeah.
We know that that was an incident that shocked our whole community. We felt it down here, especially with one of the teachers that was killed in that shooting was from Eagle Pass. I believe it was Miss Mireles that was here from Eagle Pass, stayed in Eagle Pass at one point. I think she graduated from the high school here.
It was something that shocked the nation. It was something that changed all the laws that we're fighting for the district to follow in this moment. Everything that was implemented, all the guidelines that were supposed to be followed for this incident, they came from the changes made after Uvalde.
Now,
And through that committee that they formed in the Senate, they had a lot of changes. And those changes were immediate communication with parents, immediate collaboration with other law enforcement entities, and what is very, very, very clear is that no threat like this should be handled by one agency. There's trainings that came out because of that incident. And we want to make a difference as parents. I became alert certified as a civilian. And during that training, they emphasized how we don't name the people that did the shootings. We don't remember the attackers. We remember the teachers. We remember the heroes because that's what they are. Whenever you put your life on the line for students, you're a hero. And during that training, they give us every teacher that has put their life on the line. And those are the people that you want to remember. And those are the people that shouldn't be treated like this. They shouldn't be ignored when they're bringing up safety concerns.
No, and it kind of seems that this teacher was brushed off, kind of like, you're overreacting or it's not anything serious. But I think now more than ever, like you said, Robb Elementary touched everybody, not just here locally, but nationwide. That something like this can happen anywhere, everywhere, regardless of how big your school, how big the city, how big your community is. Something like a school shooting, everybody is vulnerable to that.
Exactly.
And you shared also with us a list that we'll go ahead and share as well.
Those are teachers that have put their lives on the line for students. In Robb Elementary, there was 19 students killed. Two teachers included Eva Mireles, a fourth grader, who shielded students with her body while wounded. Irma Garcia, a fourth grade teacher, who died shielding students with her body as well. Sandy Hook, December 14, 2012. Victoria Lee Soto. She hid students in her closet and she was killed while trying to protect them. Don Hawksprung, the principal, he was the one that ran towards the shooter, tried to stop him unarmed, and he was killed in the incident. Mary Sherlock, she ran towards gunfire to protect students and was killed doing it. Rachel Davino died shielding her students as well. Marjorie Storman Douglas High School, February 14, 2018. 14 students were killed, 3 staff members included. Scott Beagle, killed holding the door open for fleeing students. Aaron Fees, shielding students from gunfire. Christopher Hickson, confronted shooter unarmed and was killed. All these are the people that we should remember. All these are the people that should be protected and the people that who shouldn't be ignored. And that's exactly what happened. Virginia Tech, April 16, 2007. This engineering professor was a Holocaust survivor, and he stopped the door with his body and was shot through the door while his students fled through the window. During that training, these are the people who are remembered, and they're the people who were ignored during this incident. It wasn't just us parents who were left in the dark, it was teachers as well.
No, yeah, and the like you said, these are heroes. These are people that have put their lives on the line, and they lost their lives defending, protecting, securing students that we send every single day without thinking, hey, today might be the last day I see my kid. And that's
Exactly.
something that hits very, very much at home, because we don't send our kids with the intention that, we don't know what's going to happen to them. We send our kids knowing, or at least having that thought that, the school's going to protect them. I mean, they're protected, or not even that they're protected. We just think that Mija has a test today. I hope she does good. Mijo
But
has.
unfortunately, now that's how we feel as parents. We lost that trust in the district.
Yeah.
We're doing this now. We're speaking up now so that we don't do it after the fact. So that we don't do it after there's an incident. I don't want to be having a show, or I don't want to be addressing city council, the school board, the commissioner's court, saying they didn't do enough. Right now is when we can make a change. Now, this isn't about attacking the district. This is about changing what's broken. We need to address this now so that it doesn't it doesn't become a thing when there is an incident. We want to know now. We want to know for a fact that they're gonna handle something like this, something as serious as this, the way it should be handled. Not to handle it internally, not to hide it, not to give us conflicting timelines, because that's what we got. We got conflicting timelines from the district, We got half truths. Now, they never put out public that there was more than two notes. Publicly, they always said that there was two, but there was actually four notes, and that came straight from the district. The district told me that there was in fact four notes, and that was never made public. This isn't about that student. This is We're not asking for names. We want to know that our kids are safe. We want to know that that person, that student that made that list, gets the help they need. Because if you get to the point where you're making that list, somebody has to help that kid. Somebody has to address what's happening for him to create that list just to begin with. And that's what we want. We want to trust the district. We we don't we didn't target anybody. We didn't point fingers. It's not about blame. It's about change. That's what we want as parents.
Now, let's talk a little bit about what the district has done. The district did make a couple of changes. I believe they demoted the principal that was
Yeah.
there at the time. They moved him down to an IO,
Yes.
switched them schools. I'm not sure if the IO still at Armando Cerna is still there. I think she still is.
Yes, they still
And
have the same IO, and we have a new principal. And a lot of people asked about that. A lot of people asked if the demotion was enough. But we as parents, we never asked for a demotion. That just highlights how serious this failure was. For somebody to be demoted, but that fixes or addresses one issue, and it addresses the actions of one person. This situation was handled by more than one person. This system allowed that person to feel comfortable enough to downplay this. Now, we were told that the principal wasn't even there that day, that the investigation was handled by the instructional officer. So we can't even come to the conclusion as parents that that demotion was even justified. We don't have the facts to say that. We know that the instructional officer was aware of the threat. We know that the principal was aware of the threat. And we know that EPI's DPD was aware of the threat that same day. It's more than one person that was comfortable enough to handle it internally. We need to address the system so that we can know what broke.
now, and I think that that gets to the problem that we're having right now is that we don't know the complete story.
Yeah.
So, not knowing the complete story, it makes it difficult to identify the problems in that system that allowed this to happen. Now, I think one thing that you said that we really need to kind of touch on is that there was multiple people within that system that felt comfortable in handling this internally.
Yes.
Now, to me, I think that that right there is one of the problems. If not, there, I think there's multiple problems in the system, but that's one problem that is shining real bright at us. Is that how could some people feel comfortable with handling this internally? And it's not just one person, like you're saying, that dropped the ball, like, hey, I thought we should have done this. It's multiple people.
Yeah. And that's why we're addressing this, because we need to know as parents that there's guidelines for them. We don't know if they had the guidelines. We don't know if they have the protocols in place. We don't know if they have the training, because we have to make assumptions. Now, what would have happened in this situation if that parent hadn't called 911? Because that's how we became aware.
Yeah.
We know the following day after the threat is made, through other parents saying, "Hey, are you guys going to pick up your kids? Because there's a threat in the school." Now you have people going to pick up their kids, and that notice from the district hadn't been sent. That notice from the district was sent at 10:20 a.m. after the 911 call. after the city responded to the school. It shouldn't have been like that. We should have been able to make the decision whether to send our kids to school or not.
So I think you're touching a little bit about what you said, the timeline of this situation. So we had the, going back a little bit on the timeline, this situation happened on a certain day. Nothing was done, said, or made publicly that day when these letters were found until the 911 call came in. And I believe it was when a parent called because they may have heard something and they were, trying to decide whether they should send their kid to school.
That
Then,
call from that parent, they were calling the city asking if they were aware, and they were upset at the city because to the parents, to us, it looked like the city wasn't doing anything about it because they didn't know about it. So as parents, you have to make assumptions because of the information that you're given. So it makes you wonder how many times has this happened until this time that it was it created so much chaos
yeah.
to make us speak up about it.
Well, see, and I think my thing has always been is would we as parents have ever found out about this incident had it not been about this parent, calling in, and then of course PD is, City of Eagle Pass Police Department, they have to be a responsible party, and they put out, this situation.
Yeah.
So
And
I mean, I would even venture as far as to say is that we probably would not be here discussing this system and how it failed if it had not been for that brave parent that actually stepped up and did something about the situation by calling PD.
yeah, and as parents, that's exactly what where we're at. We can't, or no one can assume that something like this is a joke, that something like this is not going to be carried out. You cannot make that assumption in these times.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. So you have PD putting out that announcement that they did. So then following that, that's when the school district actually finally acknowledged and made it public to the parents.
At 10:20 the following day. From
10:20 the
what
following
we
day.
heard from the district, these notes or this threat was brought up to administration early on the 22nd. Now we have different times. We have a 10 a.m. and then we have a 3:30 p.m. But the fact is that they were brought up to their attention on the 22nd. That we
Now,
know because it's coming from the district.
now, one of the things that really has concerned a lot of parents out there and a lot of the people that follow our the Maverick Times is that the difference in handling the Armando Cerna situation, which nothing was ever put out that the student was detained. Nothing was put out about the follow up to this threat letter. Now,
To the day we don't know. We don't know what happened. We don't know if that threat could be carried out on Friday of that same week, on September 26th. They sent out a message saying our investigation has concluded that there is no access to weapons. Now, as parents, we have the right to ask, how did you come to that conclusion? We're not asking for any names. We need to protect that student as well, but I need to know that my kids are safe. I need to know that that threat is not going to be carried out one day. Because if they couldn't figure out who it was, how are they going to tell us that they don't have access to weapons? Now, there's nothing crazy about asking for those things. It's the normal thing to tell parents there is no access to weapons because we made contact with the family, because we found out who it was, You don't have to tell us any names. All we need to know is that our kids are safe. That's all we're asking for. That's all we've been asking for answers.
Now, but the district was real quick at another school at Seguin Elementary, where they told you we have detained
Yeah.
the author of the letter at the threat carried out in Seguin. And, both situations were handled very differently.
And that showed that they can do it. That showed that they can respond the way it's supposed to be. It doesn't fix what happened at Armando Cerna. The fact that they did the right thing, they're reacting. They're trying to do damage control. That's how it looked to parents.
Yeah.
It's not fixing the problem because we don't know what happened. We don't understand how they could think that this could be handled internally. There needs to be a clear explanation of what went wrong and what they're doing to fix it so that this doesn't happen again.
No, absolutely. We actually have a comment coming through. Let me go ahead and post this one. Adi Avalos says, "What I can't fathom is if multiple people were aware internally, then why was there only one demotion in place with where that administrator wasn't even there that day?"
And that's as parents we have to make assumptions. We we can't understand why they decided to demote a person that wasn't there at the school when it was handled by somebody else, when more administrators knew about it. That doesn't fix anything. The demotion doesn't fix anything. It just tells us how serious this is.
Oh yeah, well said. So, what actually in all this? What have you been able? Because I know you've been very active in this. So, have you been able to identify or at least kind of be directed in a way to find out what in the system is broken? What are the exact failures in this?
So as parents and me personally, this isn't just complaining, this isn't just about finger pointing. I've been trying to do everything I can as a parent to make a difference, not just point out flaws. During that process, I was appointed into the Safety and Security Committee as a parent. I was appointed by the district. That committee oversees all these incidents. That committee looks into the emergency operation plans, makes sure they're up to date. That committee makes recommendations to the board. That committee is responsible so that these protocols are in place and followed. There's a meeting coming up in December, and that's going to be my first meeting. And this is where the district has shown that they can make a difference and they do want to make a difference. By appointing me into that committee, they're showing me as a parent that they do want to progress, and we all want this to progress. We don't want to be attacking the district. Imagine the day that we know as parents that our kids are safe, that the city and the district can work together for the safety of our kids. That's what we want. We want to know that the district will handle these things the correct way so that we can feel safe sending our kids to school.
So yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like I said, I share sentiments with you. I mean, I have three kids that are in school in this school district, one in middle school, two in elementary, which I can't, and that's why we're here, right? Because I support finding out what happened, what went wrong, and how can we prevent from anything like this happening again. God forbid anything happen, like it did in Uvalde, where we're going to be here after the fact,
Yeah.
when lives are lost. Of course, we don't want that. So, I know there's been a lot of movement with TEA, that's Teachers Education Agency, Texas Education Agency, sorry.
Yeah.
And we've also submitted a complaint having to do with the situation. From from what I've heard, there's been several parents also that have submitted a similar request having to do particularly with this situation that happened at Armando Cerna Elementary. Do you have any insights into that about a TEA investigation possibly coming down or being conducted on the Eagle Pass Independent School District?
Well, the investigation was acknowledged. The way TA works is they brought all these complaints together and they escalated to the compliance review unit. So what TA is going to do is they're going to ask the district for documentation on this incident and safety related incidents. And all TA is going to do is address if protocols were followed. If not, why weren't they followed and how to correct that. And then they make a report, and anybody that made a complaint should get that report. There's things that cannot be public because a lot of it involves safety measures. But we as parents, we're gonna find out if the district did or did not follow protocol, if they had protocol in place. TA does not care about demotions. TA does not make recommendations for demotions. TA is going to address exactly what we as parents want to know. Why did this fail?
Now, in your investigations, have you seen anything or any situation where these things did fail and these things did drop?
The only thing that came up during the PIAs to me, to what I'm focused on as a parent, was that security committee. That the security committee was missing a parent and it was missing a special education teacher that has to sit on that committee because these safety protocols have to be tailored to every student, and that includes special education students. You have to make sure that you can give clear instructions to every single student and to make sure that every student is safe during any emergency.
Uh, I mean, and
Now, there's a lot
now,
of things that I asked for that could not be produced because I was told that they didn't exist, like reports, narratives, final drafts. There's a lot of things that they told me couldn't exist. So I don't know if the protocols were in place or not. They gave me the Sentinel manual that they're supposed to be followed, but there's no Sentinel report. So as parents, we don't know what failed, even through PIAs.
no, yeah, and I can second you on that because we submitted a pretty detailed Public Information Act as well. And here we're asking for body cams, we're asking for video at the school, many things, especially any type of reports that were issued because any type of incident like this, there has to be some documented report, especially when you have a police department that is dedicated specifically for the PISD. Now, as you know, everybody knows the way police departments work or any law enforcement agency, everything is documented. Even a call where you have to go to and it was a fake call or it was a false call or however you want to name it,
Yeah.
there is still documentation that follows that each officer that responded to the call has to produce.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, the way EPPD used to handle that is that you don't leave your shift that day without completing your reports. So let's
There
just
there
say if
there was one report that was given to me through a PIA,
okay,
but the response time is 12:30 the following day. So the report is saying that there was a terroristic threat made at Armando Cerna and that the officer reported, I believe it's 12:30.
the
And
following
that's
day.
that's that's the only report I got. So on the 23rd, the following day after the threat.
Wow. Imagine if the efficiency of Eagle Pass Police Department was like that. There's a shooting or something like that. Just recently, a shooting that happened at Burlington, right? Let's just imagine if this police department nobody responded until a day after.
Yeah, it's something that we as parents we have to find out what failed.
And
And I do need to make this clear that this advocacy in no way is it saying that EPI's EPD is not capable,
no,
because I know a lot of officers and I know the training that they go through. They're professionals and they put their lives on the line just like any other peace officer. But as parents, why wouldn't I want a network of law enforcement working together to protect the children? This isn't something that should be handled by one agency. We want the best for our kids in every way, and that includes safety.
now it is kind of fishy. I have to say it. It is fishy, being that why wouldn't EPISD reach out to the police department? Now, to me, I'm trying to process this looking from the outside. It kind of seems to me as if I don't want somebody to find out something, I wouldn't let other people from outside agencies come in so they could do their investigation. Now, to me, the best way you handle things the way you want would be to handle them internally. Because once you turn over, like once you open that book for everybody to read, now you open it for other interpretations through other law enforcement agencies.
Yeah, and as parents, that's where they have us making assumptions, and we shouldn't be making assumptions.
No, yeah,
We
and
shouldn't
that's
be wondering why agencies are not communicating with something this serious. We shouldn't have to be going through this. We shouldn't have to be sitting here talking about this. But we're gonna be talking about it until it's fixed.
now, what would actually fix this situation? What I know a lot of people have asked, what would be, because we've been talking about this for a while, and I know, I mean, I've been following your advocacy, and you've done a lot as a parent, and I think that through you, a lot of parents feel or are thankful for how you keep on kind of pushing this. And I appreciate it as a parent as well. But what would be the end result? What would be, what is it that we're seeking here? What is it that the parents, what kind of resolve should we be looking for in this type of situation?
Well, we believe that TA is gonna be what answers that. We believe that TA is gonna be the one that sets those protocols in place, fixes those protocols, and maybe then we'll get an answer from the district. Maybe then we'll get a full story, a full timeline, something that doesn't have conflicting timelines, something that doesn't have changes from one interview to another. We need something that's concrete to even start moving forward. Me as a parent, I can't trust the district with my kids because they won't address this one thing. They won't tell us what failed that day. They won't tell us why those administrators felt they could handle this internally. It was a kill list. It was a list of students. They were named and a staff member. And they decided that that wasn't serious enough to notify the parents. It wasn't serious enough to notify city PD. Can you imagine if that threat was carried out that next day? Can you imagine how it would have caught everybody off guard?
Because nobody knew about it.
Nobody was told.
No, and I think that that really breathes light into this and shows how it was a big risk doing this thing, as some people thought of doing it internally and handling the situation on their own. Now, I've been following, there's this county in Florida that, similar thing, have had kids, pull out kill lists. Some kids, writing into the AI asking, how can I kill someone and stuff like that. And these counties are actually handcuffing these kids, sending them to jail, putting them in a cage in a holding cell. Now, I'm not. trying to call out that this is what should happen in the situation, but you can see the difference on how each county, each state school district is handling situations like these.
So there's the office of Senator Roland Gutierrez was updated on this incident, and they're actually one of the senators who are looking into the incident
Oh, okay.
because Senator Roland Gutierrez was very big on transparency in Uvalde. He was one of the main advocates for the parents of Uvalde. So this situation and the way it was handled and the result of TA's investigation can literally dictate policy and what changes have to be made. Because if TA decides that maybe the protocols that were in place, if they were in place, weren't good enough, then there's changes that have to be made statewide. This is something that can change the whole state in the way they respond to incidents like this. We just need to find out what happened. We need to find out how we got to this point. There's also another association, an organization that's involved that's called Victims First. They
Mhm.
actually sent a letter to the school board asking for transparency, asking for answers, because they advocate and they help families of victims who are killed during mass incidents. They're the ones that are there for them to give them either the mental help that they need, financial help that they need, or help them in any other way. And the founder of that organization lost her daughter during a shooting, and they've been helping for about 20 years. They've been doing this for about 20 years. So we have support as parents, and this is being watched beyond Eagle Pass. And hopefully we can make a difference. Hopefully we get to that point where we trust the district and that the agencies and the district can work together. That's our goal as parents.
No, absolutely, and I think you kind of laid that out perfectly. So I think you said this before. Right now, you feel like you cannot trust this district with the lives of your students or the livelihood because of what has happened.
Yeah, and I have three daughters at Armando Cerna,
Wow.
and I have to send them every day, not knowing if anything was done to protect them. We were told one thing, but they already showed that we can't trust them. We were told that there was no access to weapons, but how? How do they come to that conclusion? We we want to invite parents to speak up because everybody can advocate. We want to invite people to go to board meetings. You don't have to go and trash anybody. You all you do is you show up and you give your thoughts on any specific thing. Every parent is important. Every parent, every guardian in this district has a voice, and they can make a difference. We can all make a difference together, and we can trust the district one day. But I mean, it's my wife and I doing this, and it's just two of us. We can't take on everybody in every situation, but I'm going to do it if I have to for my daughters. If it keeps if it makes me have to go up to every board meeting, I'll go ahead and do that. If it takes me speaking to senators, I'll go ahead and do that. If it takes me talking to city leaders, I'll do that. I'm going to do whatever I can for my daughters. But this is bigger than that. This is bigger than my kids. It involves everybody's children. It involves every parent and every guardian from the district. But we will make a difference. We will get to that point where we trust the district again. It's just going to take time.
No, yeah, and the thing that I always say in a lot of our stuff whenever we talk about the district is that if parents aren't the voices for their kids, their students, then who is going to be the voice for their kids? because nobody is the loudest voice for their own children than the parents of that children. And
Exactly.
unfortunately, a lot of students do get left behind, and uh, we see it a lot, right? As parents, as I'm out there, as whenever I go to these school events and everything, and it's unfortunate, but the strongest voice for any children, any child, any student is the parent themselves.
Exactly.
So, and I'd like to ask real quick, do your daughters know about the situation that happened? Are they aware? Are they cognizant of the
Yeah,
gravity of the
they
situation?
understand the the very first thing that one of my daughters asked was if it was safe to go back to school.
Mm.
And as a parent, I should be able to answer that with a yes, but I couldn't. All we can do is pray. All we can do is speak up. That's what we can do. I should have had an answer. I should have been able to tell my daughter, yes, it's safe to go back to school. But I didn't. I couldn't tell her that it was safe.
I could imagine how difficult that situation is. You want to take care of your daughters, your kids, and not being able to have the answer. That's something that a parent never we don't look forward to. I know in a specific with my kids, whenever they heard about the situation, they were asking and they were worried, could that happen at our school? And I think that I share your sentiment as well, is where you're like, you kind of freeze and say, what do I respond? Yeah, it's a difficult situation, but I do really want to thank you, Mr. Aranda, for joining us tonight. I don't know if you have any other comments to make or anything else that you'd like to share with us about the situation.
Well,
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's the same that as parents we have a voice and we can make a difference together. We'll get to that point where we can trust the district again. It just takes everybody to speak up, everybody to voice their concerns.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, I do want to thank you, Mr. Aranda, for your time. And you did get on our radar with all your advocacy and everything you're doing, especially after the fact with this situation, because a lot of people tend to follow through with not follow through with things, and kind of just pop up here and there, but you're actually going through the whole process and trying to make sure not only your daughters are safe in schools, but every student in this district is safe
Yeah.
going to their schools. So we
And
really
I mean,
appreciate that.
thank you as well, Isaac, because you've been the voice for this concern, and you helped us put it out there. It would have been harder without having that spreading of awareness that you've done for us. So we thank you too as well.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we're here to help out our community, and a thing as serious as this situation needs to be out in the public and needs to be heard by whoever's ears needs to hear it. So
Yeah,
we thank you, Mr. Aranda. Thank you. We're hoping as things progress, of course, this is not the final stop. We're not, you're not finished with this. This whole situation is not done yet, but we would like to follow up with you whenever any updates may come up from this situation. If you're willing to come on again and let us know about these updates.
absolutely. And we want to make sure that teachers know that they're heard, that they have a voice as scared as they may be to speak up. We're always going to be advocating for them as well because they're the second family to our kids and
Yeah,
they deserve better than to be ignored.
absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right. Well, thank you,
Well,
Isaac.
thank you, Mr. Aranda. We'll see you.
Have a good one.
You too. All right, guys. So you heard it straight from Mr. Aranda, Luis Aranda, talking about the situation that happened at our school district here, particularly at Armando Cerna Elementary. where we had a situation that, a lot of us would not like to see. But it did happen, and we're here to try to shine some light on it and make sure that, hey, we keep this going as far as shining the light, and make sure that all these protocols, all this situation is handled and taken care of. That way, we as parents do not feel uneasy about sending our kids, our students, to these elementaries, to these junior highs, to these high schools, concerned about their safety while they're trying to learn and get a better education for themselves, for their future, and for the future of our community, because our students right now, our kids right now, are the future leaders of this community and will eventually take over for this community, right? They are the ones that are going to be handed the keys to this community once we are past our time. And it's very important to ensure their safety and ensure that they are well taken care of and nothing happens remotely close to what happened in Uvalde. Thank you very much for joining in. We appreciate everybody joining on and participating in this very important message. Again, we will follow up with Mr. Aranda after some time goes by and see what situation uh, is unfolded after these TEA investigations are conducted and completed. So, guys, this was the Maverick Times podcast, episode number 61. We appreciate y'all. Shortly after this, we are going to have number 62, the Cooked Edition, where we talk about politics and most recently the Republicans that are jumping on the ticket for November's, well, their primaries in March and then November's general election. You're not going to want to miss our cooked edition of the Maverick Times podcast, number 62, discussing politics and the Republicans swearing in new candidates. Thank you. We'll see y'all later.